All right, just last week, Google rolled out its big Slack competitor app, and today, Microsoft officially launched Team, its collaboration service for Office 365 customers. Joining us to talk about it is Brad Sams from Petri.com. So we were talking about this before. Is it Petri or Petri? It's always the question.
It is Petri.
Petri.
So,
oh, man, that's a hard one to remember.
You can't lose either way.
Okay, good. Well, either way, it's spelled the same, .com. Go there. So first things first, thanks for joining us today to talk about this. Microsoft ran a limited preview of Teams since last November. What was the feedback that you had heard along that time leading up to today's release?
So really, really interesting stuff here. And I would say roughly January of this year, I kind of got deep into this, and I actually talked to about 40 different people talking at different organizations. That's 40 different companies who are in the process of using Teams, rolling it out, and all that stuff. And universally, everybody was saying, you know what, this is good enough that we could replace Slack. It's not perfect, and Slack still has significant advantages in other areas. But the feedback we were hearing was, if a company has Office 365 deployed, there's really no reason for them to keep paying for a separate product like Slack when Teams is going to be included into that platform. So Microsoft actually, I think, they've got something here, and they built this all in-house. And if you go back to, I think it was 2013, roughly, when Slack was announced, everyone's like, all right, Microsoft is going to buy these guys because it was huge.
I remember
it was really, really big with the startup community, small businesses. People loved it. And I want to say it was around June of last year, Microsoft said, you know what, we're not going to buy them. They want too much money. We're going to build this ourselves. And that's what Teams has become.
I know that one question that people have been asking is Microsoft late to the game? I mean, if it was 2 years ago that Slack burst onto the scene and now everybody's doing it, there's a lot of competition right now. But this is really, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Microsoft in the enterprise has a lot of support, and this is just kind of folded into Office 360. That gives Microsoft a huge advantage just by sheer user numbers, right?
Sure. Yep. And so I think that's a very fair statement. Microsoft gets a lot of flack for being late. Mobile, specifically, they were so late that they completely missed the boat. I don't think this is quite the same thing. I mean, for example, look, Google just kind of announced their Slack competitor last week. We see Amazon starting to play in this arena, not fully yet with Chime. And so now we have Microsoft formally launching Teams. And the one thing that we all know about the enterprise is that it's very slow moving. So when these things kind of show up, Microsoft actually has the luxury, because of their position, they can kind of sit and wait and say, hey, is this just a fad, or is this really something? And once they saw it becoming really something, they have the cash flow and capacity to say, okay, you know what, we're going to take this many engineers, we're going to throw them into this product, make sure it's good, and then kick it out the door. So I don't know if they were necessarily late. They're obviously not first. We know that for a fact, but we know sometimes the leaders get stabbed in the back because they forge the path. But then here comes Microsoft, and with their capacity, and really Microsoft's Office 365, you can't undercut how much power that has inside the corporate environment.
So one of the things that I love most about Slack is how it works over mobile, of any of my devices, on my iPad, on my iPhone. Will Teams also work on iOS as seamlessly?
Yes, they have a full suite of apps supporting all of the major platforms. That's a requirement these days, especially in the corporate world. There's no way they could have just launched a desktop application, be like, you know what, mobile apps are coming soon. Like, that doesn't fly anymore, especially with Nadella saying, you know what, we're mobile first, cloud first. And this kind of embodies that. So you have a full suite of apps on every different platform and everything that will go with you. The one thing that we're hearing a lot from the market is that, and honestly, this is a third-party opportunity. If somebody can come up with a way to export Slack content and ingest it into Teams, they will make a lot of money very quickly. That's the big sore point at this point is, if you're invested in Slack, you have all that historical knowledge, especially if employees have come and gone, and you can't readily port that over to Teams, which is a pretty big downer for the platform right now for people who are invested heavily into Slack.
Yeah, it's a huge lock-in. Good for Slack at the short term, though, to keep people over there. Slack also has the benefit of having a free tier, which,
sure.
I mean, with Teams, there is no free tier, right? Like, you have to be an Office 365 subscriber.
Yeah, so Microsoft will give you this nice runaround and say, well, technically we do have a free tier, but they don't. You're absolutely right. You can get a free trial of Office 365, which they then say, hey, you can use that to go try out Teams. But it's nothing like what Slack is offering, where you can get, you can get your company up and running on a free tier and then upgrade them to the premium product. It's not so easy in the Office environment. And this, again, goes back to Microsoft's just kind of, I don't want to say they fully own this space, because Google's G Suite is doing really good stuff, and they showcased that last week. But Microsoft knows that people are buying Office 365, over 85 million active corporate users. They're not really hurting for that. And so what they're trying to do is get those people further entrenched into Office so that they can't leave.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things about the Google, what they announced with the Hangouts Meet and Hangouts Chat, like they seem to really promise this seamless, you're chatting with someone and all of a sudden it becomes clear in whatever your work thing you're talking about that you need to talk face to face or
Sure.
audio. Does Teams have something that's that seamless that you can transfer between audio conferencing, video conferencing, and chat?
Yep, they absolutely do. One of the interesting things about Teams is that and this is a pipe dream for all of us, is that if you could get your entire company in using Teams, you could effectively actually get rid of Skype and email. It's that comprehensive. So what you can do inside of Teams is you can actually just click on someone's name, click the little video button, and you're having an instant video chat. You can set up meetings that people can come pop in and out of. Microsoft and myself, I give Microsoft a lot of crap for pushing out bad products and bad updates and stuff all the time. Teams is honestly not one of those things. This is a very well thought out, a very well tested, and Microsoft put some of their best people on this stuff. This isn't something that they just spun up because they felt like they needed. They truly invested a lot of corporate IP and heads into this product to make sure that it was top notch when it launched.
So besides the lack of a free version, is there anything you didn't like about it? Come on, Brad. There must be something you didn't like about it.
Certainly. So there's a couple issues. First off, there's no guest access right now. So Slack is very good that if you have a group and you have a third-party contractor, you can bring them into the Slack channel and give them permissions. That doesn't exist. Microsoft says that is coming. They're hopefully targeting in June. So that's not perfect. The other thing, too, about this is for a lot of people, there's going to be... If you don't get your whole company using it or your whole team using Teams, it really falls apart. Because if you have people holding conversations in email and some in Teams, the whole product doesn't work. So this is one of those things that you're either all in on it or you're going to have a really bad experience. So that's the real challenge with this up and coming product.
What about third-party integrations? So we know that Microsoft has really tightly integrated its own services, obviously, into this, which is what you would expect and what you would hope for. But they're also kind of working with a lot of third parties to bring in that functionality, like we have seen in other products like Slack. What about those?
So there is a third-party ecosystem, and it allows you to bring in things like task management, and they have their own little area. There's also bots. This product has been in development for roughly 18-ish months. So they've really thought this all the way through. It actually began private testing, I want to say back in August of last year. And so there is a wide developer ecosystem that allows you to do the plugins, the pooling content. Specifically, like I was testing out task management because we use Basecamp at our company. And I was thinking, man, could we truly get off of Basecamp and go into Teams? It's not quite there yet with the task management and task distribution. But yeah, third-party support is there, and that ecosystem is slowly materializing.
Can I send GIFs?
Yes, it actually, they tie in with Jiffy. So they tie in through that.
Then I love it.
Yeah.
That's critical.
Sign me up.
In this day and age. That and
it really is. They even went as far as you can create custom memes. So you can pull up an image and write your own text all within Teams. They put a lot of effort into making sure that the millennial demographic would be very happy with that part of the engagement.
Right on. Brad Sams, it's a pleasure getting you back on. Thank you so much for taking some time to tell us a little bit tonight about Microsoft's big deal. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That's Petri, not Petri, Petri.com, Petri.com. Thanks again, Brad.